Alexandra Levine welcomes you to the Alexandra Levine live podcast. Today we've got a packed show from breaking news to informative topics that will keep you well informed. So please click the subscribe button to get notified of her upcoming episodes. If you like what Alexandra talks about, then please share the Alexandra Levine live to others. Alexandra also looks forward to your comments during this episode. Tonight's Alexandra Levine live podcast starts now.
Well, hello, everyone. Hello. This is Alexandra Levine live with the America's Pulse Network. You are all in tonight with me, Alexandra Levine. Thanks for being with me tonight. We have major breaking news. The first major breaking news that I literally just got a couple minutes ago from my friend Eric Dougherty is, let's put up the slide. So breaking news, the California Republican Party just filed an emergency application with the Supreme Court to overturn and nullify Gavin Newsom's 2026 Democrat House gerrymander before the midterms. The new map adds as many as 5+ blue seats. Strike it down, SCOTUS. Well, we hope that the Supreme Court does this. As you know, Gavin Newsom did this illegally, and everybody was up in arms that the Republicans wanted to go back to the original 2020 census. So Gavin Newsom was like, well, two can play that game, and I'm going to re-gerrymander my state, which he's gerrymandered since he's been the governor and before then. So hopefully the SCOTUS will overturn. Hopefully Gavin Newsom will lose again because he is a big loser. And hopefully Gavin Newsom will just go off into the night, or what we say, into the abyss, and we never have to hear him or see him again. Second breaking news. Let's put up the second slide. As you know, as tensions spike, EU vows unflinching response to Trump's Greenland gambit. For those of you who don't know, President Trump flew to Davos, Switzerland to speak at the World Economic Forum today and tomorrow. He'll be there. This is very important. Very important for us to listen to President Trump take the stage. This talks all about the economy. And as you know, there is talks that President Trump may take over Greenland. Same kind of talk that President Trump said in regards to Gaza. He talked about the USA owning Gaza, calling it Mara Gaza, calling it a beach resort, making it big and better than ever before. And of course, you have the critics say, oh, this is another business dealing. This is another way for President Trump to make money and his children to make money off properties, because that's what he does. He's a developer, builder, blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? He's not using this as a business opportunity. He's using this as an opportunity to help America, to help the economy of America, and also to help this country of Greenland that has been screwing the American people for a long time, but also under COVID, their economy completely crashed. Same thing with Iceland, Finland, and many others. And as you know, the World Economic Forum, they are big socialists. They're big Marxists. President Trump is a capitalist. He's bringing capitalist people to the World Economic Forum with him, and he knows what to do here. This is his realm. This is his arena. So I trust the system, as everyone who's listening should trust and beyond. Trust what the president is doing. Trust what the president's going to say or what he has said. And let's just see how this will fly. But I'm very optimistic about President Trump being at the World Economic Forum, being in Davos, Switzerland. This is historic, guys. This is very historic. And in another breaking news, as you know, I do a lot and deal a lot with Maryland and Maryland politics. Well, this was predictable. Former Governor Larry Hogan decided not to run for governor this time. Gee, I wonder why not. Maybe because he got his butt kicked when he ran for the U.S. Senate against Angela Alsobrooks, or maybe it's because he hates the Republican Party so much in Maryland that he's going to back and support Governor Wes Moore, who he backed and supported when Governor Wes Moore first got elected. When Dan Cox was the Republican nominee, Larry Hogan did everything he could to work against Dan Cox to put Governor Wes Moore in. And now Larry Hogan will do everything he can to keep Governor Wes Moore in. But also, just because Governor Larry Hogan isn't running for re-election, don't think that he doesn't have his minions working for him, pushing their rhinos, pushing their moderate, they're not even moderates, pushing their socialist Democrats in there to gain more power in Maryland. Because the more that Governor Wes Moore is the governor. Socialism gets pushed and pushed and pushed in Maryland. The taxes rise. People leave the state of Maryland because they can't afford it. Small businesses go under tremendously, and people have to take matters into their own hands. As you know, in the state of Maryland, they have a DEI leader governor, a DEI attorney general. They have a DEI Baltimore City mayor, Brandon Scott, and they have DEI Jewish councilmen that are pushing and promoting anti-ICE immigration legislation policies, which we know is ridiculous. So the more that Governor Wes Moore is in power, the more Maryland is going to turn into a swamp, a bigger swamp than it already is. My question to my audience is, what do you think about Larry Hogan running for governor? What do you think his intentions are? I can tell you that Larry Hogan is pushing a lot of rhinos to run in very hardcore conservative areas. We'll get to that later in the show. My challenge to Maryland voters is don't allow Larry Hogan to rhino or Democrat your very hardcore Republican district. Don't allow Larry Hogan to control the power of the purse. Convince him to move to South Korea, where his wife is from. Take a long vacation. Go live on an island somewhere. But the more that Larry Hogan is in Maryland, even though he's not running, he's still doing the dirty work for the Democrats and for the rhinos in Maryland. There's so many rhinos in Maryland, so many. There's so many socialist Democrats in Maryland. It's disgusting. They're all DEI hires and DEI leaders. And as you know, Governor Wes Moore, Brandon Scott, a lot of these liberals, a lot of these Jewish liberal Democrats, they're all supporting this anti-ICE legislation. They can't stand ICE. They call for the defunding of police. It's really sad and it's really sick. And they're going against federal law. So that's why it's very important, Maryland voters, that you go out and vote for the person that represents you. You don't always have to vote Democrat every time. You can vote Republican. You can go outside the box. You can change your party, vote Republican in the primary, just vote Republican in the general. It's time for you. It's time for Marylanders to hashtag Jexit the Democrat Party and vote the right way. Now we go into breaking news, segment one. So segment one, I'm going to do a lot of talking about because, as I said in breaking news, I'm very involved in Maryland politics. I have been living on and off in Maryland for 6 years. I started working with the Department of Veterans Affairs and HHS. And then after I did my work there, I became a campaign manager and I'm a political consultant. As a campaign manager, I worked on the federal level and then I worked on the state and local level. I'm currently working on the state and local level now for candidates that are running in Maryland, specifically in the Baltimore County area. In the Baltimore County area, the area that I work with is Dundalk, Edgemere, and Sparrows Point. That is extremely hardcore conservative. That is your MAGA Trump base, your America First base. And there's a lot of illegals that live in Baltimore County, but not in this area. They don't allow it. And it's not because they're racist. It's because, A, they don't believe in breaking the law, but B, they're smart people. They're blue-collar people. They're the backbone of our nation. Trade Point Atlantic, it used to be Bethlehem Steel, was the backbone of our nation. Now Trade Point Atlantic, instead of them working to bring illegals here on H-1B1 visas, now they're going to start hiring people that live in Dundalk and Edgemere and Sparrows Point and they're going to start getting steel from Houston, Texas, and not from China or overseas. And also the people of Maryland, especially in Baltimore County, they're tired of the Chinese stealing their farmland. So the people of Baltimore County, the legal citizens, are taking their district back. They're taking their land back. They're taking their state back. But again, it has to do with you, the voter. If you, the voter, don't get out and vote for the right person in office, you're going to end up with socialism in your entire state. You already have a socialist governor. You already have a socialist mayor of Baltimore City, and you have a socialist attorney general, and there's a lot of other socialists that are in Baltimore County. But I know the people of Baltimore County, you're not stupid. I believe in you guys. I believe in what you stand for. I believe you're all good people, and I believe you want to do the right thing and vote the right person in. And of course, we have issues with illegal voting in the state of Maryland. In the state of Maryland, you are not required to show your photo ID to vote. So there's a lot of illegals that live in Maryland that vote. A lot of 17-year-olds that vote. A lot of dead people that vote. A lot of people that vote in one precinct and turn around and vote in another 5 minutes from each other, 10 minutes from each other. That's why it's very important that we push to codify President Trump's executive order to get rid of mail-in ballots, to have photo ID in all 50 states, paper ballots all the way, and get rid of the damn machines. And that can only happen if the state cooperates or if Congress codifies the executive orders, which they really need to do. I love the fact that President Trump is pushing for an RNC convention before the midterms. Very brilliant. Now, the primary in Maryland is in June. People have until the end of next month, February 24th, if they still want to file for an office, whether it's a state or local position or a federal position. And session in Annapolis has already started. It's from January until April. And we'll see if anything gets passed on the Republican side. I mean, unfortunately, the Republicans in Annapolis, it's a very small minority. It's a small group of people. They have to work across the aisle. And we're hoping to God that they work enough across the aisle so that they get the bills passed that they need. But it's a shame. It's a shame that the Republicans that are in Annapolis have done nothing to move the needle. They have a Maryland Freedom Caucus. They've done nothing to move the needle. And that's because they have backed and supported Governor Larry Hogan for years, who did everything he could to destroy the Republican Party of Maryland, meaning the Republicans that are in Annapolis. There's too much division in the Republican Party in Maryland. I'm hoping to God that during these midterms, the rhinos will come together with the hardcore Trump people and stop backstabbing each other and support one another. You don't say you're a Trump supporter and then you go vote Democrat or support the Democrat. We all know you're hypocrites, and I've called you out many times. And also, I encourage the constituents to take a look at people's campaign finance reports. See who's giving them money. See the pattern. See why one person gave this person money and the other didn't. It's very important, guys, to get educated on who your candidates are and who is giving them funds. Now, my good friend and colleague, Tim Fazenbaker, who is an elected official in the Baltimore County Republican Central Committee, is running for the new Baltimore County Councilman District 9 seat, which is extremely hardcore Republican, hardcore MAGA, and America First. It is Tim's base. It's Dundalk, Edgemere, Sparrows Point, and a sliver of Rosedale. And Tim had a killer-ass event last Saturday with Newsmax syndicated talk show host Rob Carson, who's on Newsmax Monday through Friday, 12 to 3. He has his apartment in Alexandria, Virginia, where he broadcasts from, and he does his own social media. And a lot of people came to the event because of Rob Carson, and they came from places all over Maryland and outside of the state. The whole place was packed with over hundreds of people. The whole parking lot was packed to the point where people had to park on the street or the next street over because there was such an overflow. There was not enough tables for everybody to sit. So there was a lot of people that had what they call the standing room section. And they had children there and people of all different ages. And they had multiple different people of different backgrounds. And some people even spoke of their stories. But to backtrack a little bit, the incumbent, his name is Todd Crandall. And Tim and I actually knew this was coming, but we couldn't say anything. So thank you to the Baltimore Sun for confirming it for us. The incumbent, Todd Crandall, is deciding, and we'll put up the slide, not to run for re-election for his seat. Let's put up the slide. There we go. Baltimore County Councilman Todd Crandall says he will not seek re-election, citing personal challenges, a desire for recovery and reflection on more than a decade, representing Dundalk and Southeast Baltimore County. Now, for those of you who don't remember, I had, oh my God, I just blanked on the word. I had not interviewed it. Why am I blanking on the word? Exposed it. There we go. I exposed it and I talked about it when the Baltimore banner came out and showed not only the country, but the whole nation, Todd Crandall's struggle with alcoholism and with drugs. Todd Crandall has been at a drug/alcoholic rehab center for over a year. Didn't tell anybody. There were suspicions. He was hardly at the council meetings. He was hardly in session, and being a county councilman is a full-time job, it's not part-time. And people were asking about him. There was a point in time where he had tripped and I think broke his shoulder, and he was actually inebriated, stumbling and bumbling and tripping over his shoe. Then we find out later that his soon-to-be ex-wife filed a restraining order against him because he was physically and mentally abusing her, and he was physically and mentally abusing her child, who she had with a previous marriage. And I actually know her ex-husband because he's a supporter of Tim. And his wife actually cheated on her ex-husband with Todd Crandall. And Todd Crandall's been living in her house, which was her ex-husband's house, raising her ex-husband's daughter. I heard that Todd Crandall is not living in the house anymore. I think he is living with his parents. But we do wish him the best. I'm glad that he got help. But I blame his chief of staff and the people that work under Todd for not telling the constituents of Dundalk, Essex, Edgemere, and Sparrows Point and Rosedale about his condition. And now Todd Crandall wants to finally do legislation or put legislation through that he didn't want to do. But now, because he's on his way out the door, he'll finally put something in to help his constituents. He calls himself a conservative. He's not. He's a rhino. He claims that he supports Donald Trump. That's a lie. He hates Donald Trump. And he works with a lot of the rhinos and the Democrats in Maryland. He just goes along to get along. But this guy is a drunk and a lush. A drunk and a lush. And the fact that he kept this from his constituents for a year shows you his character and who he is. And I can tell you, a lot of people said they would call his office. He would never get back to them, and the people that worked for him would never get back to his constituents. So in a way, it's a good thing that Mr. Crandall is not running for re-election. This opens up the door for my good friend and colleague, Tim Fazenbaker, to win this seat. This is the seat that Tim will win. Because I can tell you, the people that were at Tim's event last Saturday, if they didn't love Tim then, they love him even more. And his event has been buzzing, because it was the event of the century. Yeah, Don Willinger said, I'm amazed that Todd ever got elected if he abused his child or his wife. Well, he was already an elected official, and he was abusing his wife and child. So as an elected official on taxpayer dollars, on your dime, I'm sure your dime paid for his rehab center. On your dime, he was a lush and a drunk. On your dime. Instead of helping the people that elected him, he decided to get drunk on you, threatened police officers, said F hospital. It's all on body cam. And some people feel bad for the man. To see a grown-ass man, you could see that he's stressed. You could see that he's struggling. You could see there's issues with his marriage. I mean, his wife's a known whore. His wife has slept with a lot of different men. She's a whore. I would say that to her face, too. I met her. She's not a very nice lady. She has a whore mouth, and she's a whore. I feel bad for their child. I really do. I feel very bad for their child. But Todd wrote at the end of the article that he endorses and supports Tim's opponent, who I will not mention. And that says it all. You do not want Todd Crandall endorsing or supporting you, especially after his friends, his colleagues, other constituents have told him to resign because he's a lush and needs to take care of himself. So anyone that supports Todd Crandall, anyone that was endorsed by Todd Crandall, they're a boo. They are not to be trusted. They hate Donald Trump. They hate the MAGA movement. And all Tim's opponent is doing is Todd Crandall's dirty work. He's going to be just like Todd, but worse. He's going to work with Democrats. He's going to do backdoor deals with Democrats. We already have this Rhino/Democrat state delegate named Rick Metzger doing backdoor deals with business owners, going around and telling the business owners, you better donate $1,000 to this guy or else. He's had a tendency of threatening people, and he claims he's a pastor, yet he's not a pastor of any church. Doesn't represent a church. He's a mess. His children are like Haman's sons. They talk crap about everybody. They whine and complain. And they lie about their father's health condition. And they act like they're, they act like they're the best people in the world, like they're saints, and they're not. They're sinners. They're all sinners. And the people that work around Todd Crandall are all rhinos and Democrats. So again, anyone that is supported by Todd Crandall or endorsed by Todd Crandall, I'm warning you to stay the hell away from them. Do not vote for them. Do not support them. And I can tell you that Tim's opponent had an event earlier this month that generated only 20 people. Majority of them were his family. He did not bring any outsiders in. The place was not packed. And all he had was elected officials and some of his family that were there to fill in seats. You cannot compare Tim to his opponent. Tim is loyal. Tim is honest. Tim cares about his community, his family, his love of country. He supports the police and veterans. He loves veterans. And he helps the homeless. And he helps people and families that can't afford a Christmas dinner or can't afford to pay their water bill. That's Tim. And Tim reached out to Tammy Nobles, whose daughter was brutally murdered and raped by an illegal criminal alien from El Salvador, and had her speak at his event. And Tim reached out to Lost Voices for Fentanyl, run by April Badcock, because her son died of fentanyl, and had her tell her story and gave her a voice. Tim also reached out to Turning Point USA, the chapter in Towson University. They came and they spoke. My friend Timmer and this lovely lady, I forgot her name. I think her name was Sarah. I forgot her name. Was there, and they spoke about Charlie Kirk and Turning Point and the wonderful things they're doing, but how it's been a struggle at Towson University campus because they're conservatives. How Towson University tried to vote in a BDS resolution. It's crazy. I was there. It was unconstitutional what they tried to do, and there was no merit to it. But I'm going to show you a couple, or my producer is going to show you a couple slides from the event, Tim's event, which was in Dundalk at the Bayside Grill and Bar, and how packed it was. So that picture right there is Tim with Tammy Nobles. That's the mother of Kayla Hamilton, who was brutally murdered and raped in her home by an illegal criminal from El Salvador. You can thank John Yoshevsky for that. And you can thank Itzi Patoka for that too. Next image, please. So that's Tim. Next image. So that picture is great. So you have Tim on the end with a new Black woman. She's running for, I think, Baltimore or PG County. I don't know, not executive, county council. She's a Black Republican, beautiful woman, very smart. Next to her is John Myrick. He is one of the Republican candidates for governor. Brenda Cham is his lieutenant governor pick. Next to him is Chris Burnett. Chris Burnett is running for CD6, congressional CD6, which is not in Baltimore County, by the way. So Chris Burnett came all the way from Frederick County to be with Tim. And Chris's district is all Allegheny, Garrett County, Washington County, which is all hardcore Republican Trump country, and a sliver of Montgomery County, a sliver of Frederick County. Then down below is our friend Kimberly Stansberry. You know, she's running for Baltimore County Executive. Then you have Rob Carson, the syndicated Newsmax podcaster, and then Glenn Gelhair, who's running for state delegate in District 8 against 3 Democrat incumbents. And Glenn, he's run for multiple times for state delegate, and the people hope that he makes it this time. He's won the primary, but they hope that he makes it to the general. So let's go to the next slide. So the next slide shows that it was a packed house. That's a panoramic view of the venue. and it was packed. Like I said, there was hundreds of people there. You don't see the standing room, but it was standing room at the very, very back. The parking lot was filled to the point where people had to park 2 streets down below. And I know this area very well because Tim had his first event there, but I've performed there. I've eaten at that restaurant. It's a very good restaurant, by the way. It's great seafood. If you like seafood, I keep kosher, so I don't eat seafood, but if you like seafood, it's very good. But they have very good fish. They have very good steak if you like steak. But this was, I mean, you can see in this picture, everybody is engaged. Everybody's engaged. Nobody's on their phones. The people are loving what Tim is saying. Tim emceed the entire thing. Unfortunately, I couldn't go to the event. But you can see that there's a lot of love in that room. And you can see that everybody is paying attention to every single thing. And you can also see that there's a diverse crowd there. There's white people, there's black people, there's Jewish people. I mean, there's no discrimination in that room. You have so many different diversities, ethnicities, races, religions, and creeds, and genders, men and women, not trans, at this event. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, okay. So that was all the 5 images. So after Tim had his huge event, he had a reporter from the Dundalk Eagle who was there the whole entire night. This guy is brand new. He's the one of the editors-in-chief of the Dundalk Eagle. Dundalk Eagle is a local news outlet in Baltimore County. They're very conservative. So this was one part of the article. So it says, Fazenbaker believes Dundalk has everything that America has to offer, listing occupations ranging from lawyers to tradespeople and both the poverty and the affluent that exist. He noted that what makes Dundalk unique is its water. That can become a luxury, he said. And I can tell you, Tim has been in the environmental field for many years. He worked for 2 very prominent environmental companies, Clean Harbors and Viniola. So when the issue with East Palestine, Ohio came, and they were going to take that water and put it into Back River and have it sanitized at the Back River wastewater management sanitation plant, which is a wreck, by the way, which needs to be torn down and rebuilt. I mean, Tim's been on top of this. Tim actually saved Baltimore County from getting that horrible water from East Palestine, Ohio to enter Back River. So then at the bottom it says, while the area has been slowly improving, someone with a vision of change, as Nate Fazenbaker said. Let's go to the next part of the article. So the next part of the article says, there we go. We're going to bring the industries back here that we lost. What he means by that is the factories, the artificial intelligence industries. Again, the backbone of our nation. We're going to have steady jobs, Fazenbaker said. And then we're going to make sure that we're safe. We will follow the rule of law. We will work with the administration. We'll get people out that aren't supposed to be here. And we're going to get the crime down because we're going to drive people out of this community that don't follow our cultural values. It's talking about the illegal criminals. Fazenbaker noted that help is needed from politicians at the county and state level. Remember, I said politics is local. One person who may have the opportunity to help is Kim Stansberry, a Republican candidate for Baltimore County Executive, the only woman running for Baltimore County Executive and the only woman Republican. Next slide. Fazenbaker noted that help is needed. Oh, I wrote that. I already said that. So, Stansberry and Fazenbaker met a few years ago. If it wasn't for Tim, I never would have met Kim, by the way. When the latter interviewed her for 2 hours after she first signed on to run for county executive, because he didn't know her from Adam. So he literally was like vetting her for 2 hours. And the two have since become good friends. Like John Myrick, Stansberry pushed her own campaign on Saturday while speaking on behalf of Fazenbaker. She said Fazenbaker could be one of the best county councilmen that there has ever been. Next image. Also in the article, Fazenbaker has also shown his care for the area, which is true, by going to county council meetings and sharing his opinions, which Stansberry applauded. Stansberry spoke about how Fazenbaker is someone who will be and has already been unafraid to miss meetings to support the community, which is true. He knows that if someone is in trouble, he will do whatever it takes to make sure if he can help, he will, Stansberry said. Fazenbaker understands that he cannot win by himself. In his viewpoint, politics aren't local. That's why his guests included those with a voice both in local and national politics. And the reason he said that is because he ran for Congress. And I can tell you, Tim will be in the halls of Congress one day. That is his goal, is to be a congressman or to be a senator. So sometimes people, they start on the local level and they elevate to Congress. We saw that with Johnny Oshevsky. We've seen that with many people. We have frickin' Mayor Mondami, who may be a congressman one day. So like I said, politics is local. That's how these damn liberal socialist Democrats get into power. They start on the local level and they just elevate themselves to the federal level. And you're like, what? And there's some Republicans that just go straight for the federal level. And as a consultant, I educate them. I'm like, I wouldn't recommend it unless it is a guaranteed position district that you can win. Sometimes it's better to start locally or start on the state level and then move your way up, because it gives you the experience. And then there's people, as you know, that start on the federal level and then they become governor of a state. Like my governor, Ron DeSantis, he was a congressman first and then became the governor. So sometimes that can happen too. Next image. So Tammy Nobles, as I showed you the picture, she's the mother of Kayla Hamilton, who was raped and murdered at age 20 in 2022. This was under the Biden administration by a member of the gang MS-13, who was an immigrant lacking permanent legal status. Fazenmaker has gotten to know Nobles very well. The two have been leading voices in opposition to Baltimore County Councilman Itzi Patoka, who's a Jewish Democrat. His bills regarding immigration. Itzi Patoka is also running for Baltimore County Executive as a Democrat. Nobles said she never liked politics and never thought she would get into it, but wants to make sure what happened to her daughter doesn't happen to anyone else. The Kayla Hamilton Act was passed by the House of Representatives in December. We're still waiting for it to go to the Senate and be passed and for President Trump to put it into law. Next slide. April Babcock is the founder of Lost Voices of Fentanyl. She also works with our good friend Ann Funder. Ann Funder's son also died of a fentanyl overdose. April Babcock is a resident of Dundalk whose son died 7 years ago from fentanyl. Babcock said that social media is a drug dealer on standby and that there's a poison epidemic in America. I agree with her. A couple of years ago, Babcock met Fazenmaker and educated him about drugs. Fazenmaker asked her why people should care for those who die from drugs, and so Babcock enlightened Fazenmaker. That talk started a friendship with Fazenmaker that has ultimately grown notable enough to have her speak at his campaign event. And she spoke at his first campaign event, and Tim went to DC for one of her events. And I can't remember if that's the last image or not. Oh, I think this is the last one. Both Nobles and Babcock tackle issues in America that, while not local to Dundalk, Fazenmaker believes are strongly important and that the community must be educated on. Because what happens in your home, as you notice, is happening on the national level too. And we've heard, about Kate Steinle and Jocelyn and Rachel Morin and all these people, and Lincoln Riley, all these people that died from an illegal criminal. These are real stories, guys. That's why any politician elected or running for office that supports anti-ICE legislation and puts illegal criminals over legal citizens should never be in positions of power or higher power or should be reelected. That's just common sense. Everybody should be fighting against that. That's one of the reasons why President Trump won in 2024, because a lot of Democrats, a lot of Hispanics, legal Hispanics, were tired of seeing these illegal criminals get away with everything. Enough is enough. Like we say, have you #had enough? It's disgusting. So we have to fight. We have to fight to get the right people in office. We have to fight for our right to exist. But look at all the wonderful things that Tim has done in so many years that he's lived in Dundalk and beyond. And let me tell you something, he doesn't do these things for votes. He does this because he gives a damn about the people. I know, because I work with him. I've worked with him for many years. I've campaigned with him. I've seen him just go into a room and sit table to table and not say a word. All he does is listen to the people. And he doesn't go to and say, hey, I'm Tim Fazenmaker running for Congress or running for office. He doesn't promote himself like that. He doesn't want to. You should never start, if you're running for office, you should never start a conversation like that. Or if you're going to synagogue, you should go from the beginning of the service to the end. I know so many damn politicians or people running for office, they go at the end of the service like they did something bold. BS. If you really care, you would be there from the beginning of the service to the end. You don't act like you're running for office and you don't throw your palm cards out on Shabbos, which is against the Jewish religion, actually. It's considered work. An Orthodox Jew is not going to take your palm card on Shabbat. And you shouldn't be going to church on Sundays and pushing palm cards and promoting yourself. That's not what it's all about. You should be humble when you run, and you should be talking and focusing on policies. Now, this election could get very ugly. We don't know what the rhino that's running against him is going to do. He's not going to do anything because he's a wuss. He's just a puppet for the rhinos and the Democrats. But I wouldn't be surprised if the rhino establishment throws, a zinger or throws a hook at Tim. And we're prepared. We've been prepared for years. We're prepared for anything. But I can tell you that the rhinos and Democrats in Maryland have lied about Tim for many years, have lied about good people for many years. And everything that they have said has been proven wrong. And there's many Democrats in Baltimore County that are backing Tim, that want him in, that they know the rhino establishment is doing everything they can to hurt him. And also, what the Republican establishment is doing is if Tim does win the primary, they're going to push for everyone to vote for the Democrat. That's not going to happen. First of all, the stats are not high enough for a Democrat to win in Tim's district. Everybody knows that Tim's going to win. Everybody knows it. Like I said, even people who weren't sure about Tim in the beginning are sure now. A lot of moderate Democrats are supporting Tim. A lot of Democrats are switching parties to vote for Tim in the primary. And we will be watching heavily if there is any election fraud. Because I know the people that work at the Baltimore County elections. I know your names. I know who you support, your bias against Tim's opponent. I've already reached out to the head of the State Board of Elections in Annapolis and the head of the Board of Elections in Baltimore County. You are on notice. If you do anything to rig the election against Tim or any good conservative person in Baltimore County, there will be repercussions and you will be held accountable. I know a lot of election law attorneys, especially people that work for the Republican National Law Association, including my brother-in-law, who's not going to put up with it. It's not a threat, guys. It's a promise. We are on to you and we know your game. And I will say your name out. I will. But I will be there watching the counting of those ballots. So Will Fior, you'll see me there. And I will be there watching over your shoulder, seeing what you're going to do. You've been on notice. Will Fior and A.L.L, you gentlemen are on notice. And the reason I focused a lot on Tim in this segment is because these are things that people don't see. These are things that people don't know about Tim. But it's not just Tim. It's the fact that this is a hardcore MAGA district. And it's a no-brainer that it should go to the hardcore America First MAGA guy. So I'm putting everyone on warning. If, God forbid, the rhino wins, you all know that the system was rigged. But we are making sure this time that there will be no rigging and that the right person will get in, because people have hashtag had enough of these Baltimore County councilmen that don't do a damn thing and work against the people. Well, before we go on our break, don't forget my affiliate sponsor, rncstore.com/ALL. That is the Richardson Nutritional Center, rncstore.com/ALL. Get 10% off if you put in ALL. That stands for Alexandra Levine Live. I love these supplements. These are great supplements. I have a lot of friends, unfortunately, that have stage 4 cancer. They've used these supplements. They said it reduced their cancer significantly and also helps with your immune system. As you know, the flu is on the rise, influenza A+B. Everyone I talk to has the flu, or it's a lingering flu, or they have the cough from hell. It's like COVID times 20, they tell me. So take these supplements, feel better, get better, and I'm telling you, you will feel the difference in your body, in your mind. You'll have more energy, and your cancer will be reduced even at the most aggressive cancer. So please, guys, go to rncstore.com/ALL. If you don't put in ALL, you do not get the discount code. You don't get the discount. And of course, the more you spend, the more you get off. So everybody, thank you so much for my friends that are watching and commenting. Again, don't forget to follow us on the America's Pulse Network. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Rumble, we're on TikTok, we're on True Social, we're on Instagram. We're on like 7 to 8 different platforms now. And I appreciate my loyal People are my loyal friends that have been commenting. I know there's a lot of my friends that watch my show. They do not comment. That's fine. But I know that you're watching. Again, we are seen not only nationwide, but worldwide. I have friends in Israel that are watching, friends in Australia, friends all over the place. And I appreciate your support. This network has grown so much. We're reaching our 1-year anniversary in March, but we got a lot more coming. So I want you guys to stay tuned and stay with me. And as we come back from the break, we're going into a really important segment in segment 2. It'll be a short segment because I went a little bit over with the first segment. But please, guys, stay with us. We will be right back.
Hi, I'm Alexandra Levine. I'm a professional opera singer, actress, TV, and radio personality. Since 2015, I've been a volunteer, a field director, and a campaign manager, learning the ins and outs of the political world. That's why I became a political consultant. My job is to lead you to victory with organization, structure, and the mindset of winning for your district or state. With my guidance and direction, I can keep you focused on the things that matter to the people and advise you on key issues that need to be addressed. If you're a serious candidate that is serious about winning, then book a consultation with me today. Go to levineconsulting.co. You'll be happy you did.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking with us. My name is Alexandra Levine. This is Alexandra Levine Live with the America's Pulse Network. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I will remind you guys that we are on like the major social media networks. Just follow America's Pulse Network, and we are on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube. We're on Rumble. We're on True Social, TikTok, Instagram, Parler, like the main ones. So please, guys, like and subscribe. We appreciate everyone that is watching me tonight. So this is another big story. And as I said in segment 1, I labeled this Don is really a lemon. And people call, he calls himself Don Lemon. Such a moron. So let's put up the first slide. So Don Lemon claims some religious groups have entitlement from white supremacy after anti-ICE church protests. The former CNN host has been put on notice by the Justice Department for partaking in this protest. He was at an anti-ICE church protest, and he claims some religious groups, meaning church, Christian groups, have entitlement from white supremacy. I don't understand this guy. I just don't get it. Where would he get off saying such ludicrous and lascivious stuff, attacking Christians, which, of course, the more people attack Christians, Jews, you get these crazies that come out and they really attack us. They go into churches and they kill people. They go into synagogues and they kill people, or they bomb the synagogue, or they put the church on fire. I mean, this is so irresponsible. And he knows better. He knows better. That's why we don't call him a real journalist, because he's not. He's an op-ed, big mouth opinion piece. Yeah, Don Willender's right. He is broke. And he's married to a white guy. That's why I don't understand, why does his husband still, why is his white husband still married to this guy? It's like, I don't know his white husband. I don't like calling him white, but it's like, I don't know what his husband's name is, but it's like, why are you married to Don Lemon, a racist? He clearly hates white people. Like, what the hell? And he hates Christians. Like, if I was married to Don Lemon, oh my God, I'd divorce his ass right away. Like, this is disgusting. I mean, excuse me, was this really necessary? He's trying to get brownie points here, trying to get some licks and clicks and likes. I mean, people were pissed off at what he said, so he got his name back in the news, whether it was good press or bad press. But it's like, are you kidding me? Like, where is the brains here? He knows exactly what he was saying. He knew it would get a rise out of people, but he did it for attention, like Don Willender said, because he's broke. Let's go to the next slide. So the next slide, this was written by Fox News. So Don Lemon, an independent journalist since being fired by CNN in 2023, has been documenting the Minnesota chaos following the fatal ICE shooting of Renee Nicole Good. On Sunday, he entered the city's church during a service along with anti-ICE agitators and began filming, telling viewers that, quote, the freedom to protest is what the First Amendment is all about. Though Lemon has been, quote, put on notice by the Justice Department, he stood by his reporting and agreed with I've Had It podcast host Jennifer Welch on Monday, last night, that the backlash against him is being used to intimidate him as, quote, independent, gay, black, happy, successful man. There you go. The damn DEI bullshit again. Yes, Don Lemon. It's because you're gay and black and an independent man, and you're a successful man, why people are attacking you. You idiot. We all know, that's not true. And throwing the race card, the gender card, the quote success card, the independent card doesn't fly anymore. Welcome to Trump's America, a-hole. Go live in another country. Stop with the race baiting. It's so disgusting. I'm so sick of it. I go to these political events and I'm like, oh my God, we're so happy. We have such a hardcore, white Christian guy running. Why do you have to mention his religion? Why do you have to mention his race? We can see we have two eyes. It's like if a Jewish guy was running for vice president. Oh my God, we have a white Jewish guy running. You don't need to mention his religion. You don't need to mention his race. It's ridiculous. Because the identity politics is what Democrats do. And these are Republican events that I go to. Like when they announced Vivek's lieutenant governor candidate, all they kept talking about was what a white Christian he is. White Christian, Christian power, white Christian, Christian. And there were Jews in the room. I'm like, you don't need to mention his religion. You don't need to mention his race. You're acting like a Democrat. Identity politics. It's BS. It's BS. Yeah, Donald Trump is doing everything to get attention. He's broke. Yeah, he is broke. But again, why would Don Lemon think that this is a good thing? To attack Christians, to attack white people. Again, calling white Christians racists, saying that we're intimidated by him because he's successful and he's a black man and he's gay. Oh, please. You should thank God, whoever he praises, if he praises God at all, he should thank God for the success that he had. Or maybe he still has it. Who knows? Maybe he cashed in good retirement fund. I don't know how much money he made at CNN. But that's who he should be thanking, the Lord. But instead, he attacks the very white people the very people who gave him a voice, who paid a salary, who made sure he had subscribers. I mean, this is just insane. Yeah, Donald Trump doesn't have any success at this time. Well, like I said, he's trying to get his name out there by saying, oh my God, they went after me because I'm gay and I'm black and I'm independent, I'm successful. My God, all these white supremacists. Or not white supremacists. Yeah, white supremacists, KKK people, they're after me. Then why'd you marry a white guy? Oh, because he's gay. And that's why you married him, because he's gay and liberal just like you. Is there any repercussions going to happen to Don Lemon? That's my question to my audience. What do you think should happen to Don Lemon? Do you think there should be any repercussions, any accountability? I'm glad that the Justice Department is looking into this, but they can't just throw this under the rug because it's going to piss the people off. And his argument will be, oh, the Justice Department, they put me in jail because I'm gay and I'm black and I'm successful. Well, if you go to jail, you're not successful. The Justice Department under Pam Bondi doesn't care that you're black and gay, that you worked at CNN. You broke the law, mofo. You put your pants on the same way that any regular man does. I remember years ago, there was a guy that worked next to my dad and he had a Bentley. And he would purposefully park next to my dad because my dad drove a huge Lincoln Navigator. He purposely parked next to my dad to show off his Bentley to my father. My father wasn't intimidated by him. My father actually wanted a Bentley after seeing this guy's. But my dad said, this guy has to park next to me to act like he's the bigger man, even though he's not. But at the end of the day, the guy puts his pants on the same way that I do. And just because he owns a Bentley doesn't mean he's the wealthiest guy in the world either. He could be under tremendous financial debt having that Bentley. And usually the ones that show off their money or say, oh my God, I've spent so much this week, are liars. They say that as a cover-up for the humongous debt that they're in. I know, I was in retail half my life. I heard these women say, oh, I just dropped $2,000 at Saks yesterday. I'm good. I'm like, I didn't ask you. Why do you have to put a number to it? Why'd you have to tell me that? That's a lie. Usually people that are humble, people that come from old money, they don't talk about how much they've spent. And the women that come out and throw a number out, I know they're liars. They're just saying it to feel better about themselves. Even though ideally underneath what she was saying is that I was in debt for $2,000 and I just paid off my credit card. That's the real underlining meaning. But again, to my audience, what do you guys think? What do you guys think should happen to Don Lemon? Are you hoping that the Justice Department will do something about it? Or it's no big deal and they should just throw it under the rug? I hope that justice is done for Don Lemon because, again, that man puts his pants on the same way we do. Just because he's gay, black, independent, successful does not mean that he is above the law. Remember, you used to say President Trump isn't above the law? Well, guess what, Don Lemon? Neither are you. Coming back after the break, we're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to talk about the power of prayer and how prayer can find love, especially now in 2026. Stay with us, guys. Alexandra Levine Live, America's Pulse Network. Don't forget to like and subscribe my show. And thank you, Damon Sheridan, almost forgot my second affiliate sponsor, FoliumpX.com. We love them. Super antioxidants. Again, this is great for this time of year. Again, it helps your immunity, reduces stress, reduces hemorrhoids, reduces a lot of problems that people have, heartburn, acid reflux. I love these supplements. It's a full body detox, free radical support. Go to FoliumpX.com. The guy who created it is a guy from Georgia, the country of Georgia. Very knowledgeable guy, Babri. Awesome guy. Love him. Jewish guy, very smart. And he knows a lot about a lot. So go to FoliumpX.com. Use that QR code. Get the supplements today. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Continue to watch us and follow us on, and you can flip back and forth. You can go back, you can go from Facebook to Rumble to YouTube. You don't have to stay on one network the whole time. I have many different followers. Like for the first hour, they're on Rumble. For the second hour, they're on YouTube. Or for the first 30 minutes, they're on Facebook. For the next 40 minutes, they're on TikTok. So it's really great that you can watch our show at multiple different outlets at the same time. So don't feel limited to just one media outlet tonight, okay? But coming back after the break, guys, again, I'm changing it up. We're going to talk about prayer, the power of prayer, the power of how prayer helps people find love, etc. And stay with us. We'll be right back after the break.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
There I am. Well, hello, guys. Again, this is me, Alexandra Levine, Alexandra Levine Live. We are all in tonight with me, Alexandra Levine, on the America's Pulse Network. So segment 3, as you know, I try to change it up a little bit. The topic is how your background can find you love. So we have, in Judaism, we have many holidays. We have a holiday for everything, pretty much. We have a blessing for everything. So one of the biggest holidays that's coming up February 2nd is something called Tu B'Shvat. So Tu B'Shvat is our holiday about the growth of trees, but it's really just the overall growth of a person. The main theme of Tu B'Shvat is your roots. the roots of a tree, your branches, your background. And I'm going to put up the first slide, or Damon, share it is, about Tu B'Shvat. And I'll read it to you guys. So why we celebrate the New Year of the Trees. That's what Tu B'Shvat is. It's the New Year of the Trees, is man a tree of the field. Tu B'Shvat, the New Year of the Trees, has its own customs, which our rabbis associate with the phrase, quote, is man a tree of the field. Because the tree metaphor is so fundamental to our divine service, we celebrate the New Year of the Trees. A tree may be divided into three parts: the roots, which is number one, the trunk, the branches and leaves, and the fruit. Though the roots of a tree are not visible, they serve two vital functions. They support the tree, enabling it to withstand strong winds, and they deliver most of its nourishment. The trunk, branches, and leaves constitute the bulk of the tree's body, reflect its growth, and make the trees attractive to the onlooker. But they are not its ultimate purpose. It is the fruit that benefits others and contains the seeds which bear the species' promise for prosperity. I mean, did any of you guys know that? I just learned something new. But I'm learning more and more because I'm getting very involved with religious Jewish women and religious Jewish men of Chabads and different Orthodox synagogues. And they have, their different interpretations of the holidays. And this woman that I'm working with, she's phenomenal. Religious Jewish woman, she's great, from Israel. And she's really given me an insight about Tu B'Shvat and what it's about. And she's like, we have to focus on the roots. And I met with her a couple of times. The first time I met her, I had a 2-hour conversation with her, and she was asking me all about my background. So I told her, where I'm from. And then she's like, no, I want to know your roots, your family history, your genealogy, your pedigree. So, for those of you who know this, and if you don't, I'll remind you. So a lot of my family escaped the Spanish Inquisition in 1492. And then after that, they went to Morocco, they went to Egypt. They went to Belarus, which is a part of Russia. And I have a lot of relatives from Belarus. I'm 3rd generation Belarusian. And in that Belarusian family was born a man named Moishe Shartak. So Shartak was the Russian last name was Shartak. And a lot of my relatives, they didn't speak Russian, they spoke Yiddish. But the Shartaks ended up moving to Israel. And this was before Israel became a state. And one of my relatives, his name is Moishe Shartak. He became Sharet because a lot of, a lot of Israeli prime ministers, they were not born in Israel. They had, Russian names, or they had other different names, and then they became prime ministers, and then they obtained like a Hebrew name or a Hebrew last name. So Shartak became Sharet, Moishe Sharet. So Moishe Sharet, and you can look him up, was the 2nd prime minister of Israel and the 1st foreign minister of Israel under David Ben-Gurion. He wasn't a prime minister for very long. He did very well as the foreign minister, though. But he was there from the beginning when Israel became a state in May of 1948. He was the first signatory of the Declaration of Independence between Israel and the United States with former President Harry Truman. That's how far back my family goes. And my family goes back even farther. But that's my main root. So when people ask me, what's your connection to Israel? That's one of the main connections, is that I'm related to a prime minister of Israel. The second connection is on my mother's side, Moishe Sachar. Moishe Sachar was the first mayor of Tiberias. His wife is my blood relative. So I'm related to him through marriage, not through blood, but through marriage. Everybody knows Moishe Sachar in Israel, and people love Tiberias. And when my parents had the pleasure of going to Israel in 1987 under Bibi Netanyahu, they had the pleasure of meeting Moishe Sachar and his wife, Dorothy, who's my mother's relative, and his children, who currently live in Ra'anana and Netanya, Israel today. And then also on my father's side, in 1900, a lot of the family that was from Belarus, they were escaping before the pogroms. They were escaping World War I, and a lot of them came to this country legally through a sponsor. They came to Ellis Island, and my great-grandmother Ethel, who I'm named after, my Hebrew name is A.L.L, she was one of 7 children, and the family was split. It was 7 children. So half the family, 4 4 out of the 3 siblings ended up going to Ellis Island to New York. The other 3 ended up in Brazil, in an area called Porto Alegre, which is outside of São Paulo. My great-grandmother didn't meet up with her brother Herschel, who Herschel lived in Brazil. Ethel lives in Ellis Island. They didn't meet up till 22 years later. And then I had the pleasure of meeting my Brazilian relatives in Israel, because a couple of them made what we call Aliyah. They moved permanently to Israel. I still have a huge hub of relatives from Brazil. They've invited me to go, and I will go. One of the main matriarchs, she actually lived to 104. She died a few years ago. But my father and I have been asked to go, and I will go with my family. But that's my roots. And it goes even deeper than that. I mean, there's so much that when you really delve into your background and you meet somebody who also has a similar background to you, it's the best. It's the best. And my father was always into genealogy and astrology, and he would always read his horoscope. He still does that to this day. I think it's really cute. And both my family are Sephardic Jews. Sephardic Jews are very mystical Jews. They're gypsy Jews. A lot of them, I don't want to say they predicted the future, but they tried to, because it's against Judaism to predict the future. Only Hashem can. But it's just so interesting to know the culture of yourself and of the person that you're with. So as you know, we talk about, going into the dating season, it's really important to find a partner that has a very similar background to you and has a similar personality to you and appreciates and enjoys the majority of the things that you do. The more you have in common with someone, I find, the better the relationship and the marriage will be. And I know they do say opposites attract, but you can't just be opposite on everything. And sex doesn't fix everything either. I know a lot of couples, they don't talk to each other, they can't stand each other, they don't have anything in common, but the best thing in the marriage is sex. Sex doesn't solve everything. Sex is a bonus. Sex is a great thing. You should have lots of sex in your marriage. The Orthodox rabbis talk about that all the time. The more sex you have in a marriage, it's better. But your marriage isn't just about sex. It's about everything in between. Again, sex is the bonus. Having kids is a bonus. You need to have sex in a marriage for your marriage to survive, but that can't just be your only reason why you stay with your husband, with your spouse. There's more to a marriage than just sex. That's why it's very important that you find someone that has the same background as you. You find someone that loves to do the majority of the things that you like to do, and so forth. And when you're having a bad day at work, it's so nice to come home and have your spouse give you a hug, kiss you on the cheek, tickle you, jiggle you, tell you how beautiful you are, and to take your mind off the pain of the day. That's so important. It really is. And the next image, this is gonna make me cry. So I'm trying to keep it together. But that man in that picture was my grandfather, who I've talked about in length over the years. He was a World War II veteran, served in the Air Corps in the Philippines, in Manila. And that was me singing with him at his independent living facility years ago. He loved singing Frank Sinatra. And he died a few years ago by the murder of Dr. Fauci and the murder of Dr. Horowitz and many other doctors at Sarasota Memorial Hospital who murdered my grandfather by putting remdesivir and fentanyl and other opioids into his drip without my mother's consent. My mother had power of attorney. My grandfather did not want to die in a hospital. He was not supposed to die in a hospital. Myself and Governor Ron DeSantis saved my grandfather from COVID by making sure that the governor's strike team administered the monoclonal antibody treatment Regeneron, which made my grandfather COVID-free and made sure he wasn't a COVID death. I swore to myself I would never let my grandfather be a COVID death. My grandfather died of bilateral pneumonia because of the mofos at Sarasota Memorial Hospital that did absolutely nothing to treat his pneumonia, and the mofos at the rehab center where he was at. They did not give him an antibiotic right away. They gave him an antibiotic 2 weeks. 2 weeks into him already having pneumonia, they gave him amoxicillin, which was not strong enough. My mother demanded a stronger antibiotic. She demanded that they give him ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and they refused. And I talked to other doctors. They had told my mom to pull him out of the hospital, Church Memorial Hospital, take him to Tampa, take him somewhere else. But my mother was afraid. My mother was afraid if she took him out, he would die in another hospital. Looking back on it now, she wished that she would have listened to the other doctors. But he lived a great life. I mean, he was 98 years old. It's not like he died at 60. It's not like he died at 70, not like he died at 50. He died at 90 and a half years old. And I will continue to honor my grandfather. But I can tell you, when my grandfather had COVID, I prayed more than I've ever prayed in my life. The power of prayer is so big. And I want to thank Tim Fazenbaker and Zulika Bazemore and many others, Fred Profiter, Seth Eisenberg, who were there for me during that time. I mean, Tim was texting me every day. He was very optimistic. He said, your grandfather's going to live. He's going to live. He's going to fight this. He's going to live. And it did help. I mean, Tim's prayers and many others and my governor gave my grandfather an extra month of life to live. And Zulika would call me every single day and we would pray together. We would pray. And she's not Jewish, but I didn't care. I had a lot of Jews and a lot of non-Jews that were praying for my grandfather on Facebook, and they would just call me randomly. I had pastors calling me from Virginia, from all over the country, because my grandfather was a success story. My mother and I, we both went on national television on Newsmax and Fox News and OANN talking about the success of Regeneron, to the point where my governor and my lieutenant governor, Ron DeSantis, and former Lieutenant Governor Jeanette Nunez, called myself, my father, my mother down to Tampa for a news press conference where my mother and I and my father talked about the beauty of Regeneron and how it helps my grandfather and how it's helped many others. And I have a great relationship with my governor because of it, and Kate and his wife, and so forth. And the Department of Health, which I did a lot of work with Dr. Kenneth Shepke and many others. And I love the Surgeon General. He's awesome down in Florida. He's great. But it's things like these, knowing my grandfather's background. He was first generation American. All of his siblings were from Mother Russia, were from Belarus. And they spoke Yiddish in the home, not Russian. So my grandfather spoke Yiddish fluently. And he taught me a few words and phrases. I can't, my conversational isn't like his, but I can understand a lot of the words. And my mom picked up some Yiddish along the way. But I'm very fortunate that I had that I was very close with my grandparents, that I knew about their background. I have family that were Holocaust survivors. I have family that died in the Holocaust. And that's why it's so important, guys, so important as we look into your future to really find somebody that has the same type of connection, that loves his family or loves her family as much as you do, and that you continue to honor your relatives. In Judaism, we do something called yahrzeits. Yahrzeits are memorial candles. And I can tell you that my grandfather, when he died, he knew that my father and myself and others would keep his memory alive, and we light that yahrzeit candle for him, just like we light that yahrzeit candle for my grandmother, for my Bubby, for my Zadie. Bubby and Zadie is Yiddish for grandma and grandfather. And I light yahrzeits for cousins of mine that have passed away, great uncles, great aunts, and so forth. That's why it's very important who you marry. It's very important who you bring into your life, because you want that person you want your relative to die knowing that your spouse is going to do a yahrzeit for them, is going to memorialize them. When a relative dies in Judaism, it's not supposed to be a time of mourning. It's a time of memorializing. It's a time of honoring that person. Yes, it's sad that that person isn't physically there, but you continue to memorialize that person's memory. And because of my grandfather, wonderful things have, Baruch Hashem, happened for me in the future. I'm very grateful that my grandfather's soul and spirit is still with me every day. I loved him very, very, very much. Very, very, very much. And it's about doing mitzvahs, good deeds. It's about taking care of the people around you, but also making sure you have a shoulder to cry on, and making sure that you have someone in your life that cares about you and respects you. In Judaism, it talks about how the husband must respect his wife, how he must honor her, how he must pay for her clothing, her necessities, her food, to the point where he must take the shirt off his back to do everything for her. And that includes giving her sexual pleasure as well. It's the same thing in Christianity too. But in Judaism, we have something called a ketubah, which is it's your Jewish wedding contract. And some are written straight in Hebrew, some are written in Hebrew and in English. But that's what your ketubah is about, especially in Judaism, Judeo-Christian values, taking care of your spouse, putting the woman first, putting the woman on a pedestal, making sure that she's happy, buying her a new dress every month. If she comes from nice, you as the husband must step it up and do a nicer job than her parents did. It says it right in the ketubah. The Chabad rabbis will tell you this. But again, it has to do with your roots. That's why it's so important, guys. It's so important when we look into Tu B'Shvat, when we look into Christian holidays, really read about them and understand them, because I knew about Tu B'Shvat, but when I was with this religious Orthodox woman, she really opened up my eyes about the importance and significance of the holiday and of the importance and significance of a mikvah and so forth. And the importance and significance of putting a mezuzah on the doorpost of your door and putting on tefillin and putting on a talit and going to shul and so forth. It's the same thing in Christianity too, the importance of church, the importance of confession, the importance of taking communion and so forth. So please, guys, that should be the message going forward for this year, is to look into your background, find out what you love, write down a list of qualities that you're looking for in someone and stick to that list and be picky. There's nothing wrong with being picky. Remember, marriage is the rest of your life. A lot of people don't get married because they're afraid of getting divorced. 50% of all couples get divorced. But you shouldn't look at marriage like that. You shouldn't look at marriage like, oh, I'm going to get divorced, doesn't matter who I marry. You should look at marriage as a triumph. You should look at it as, I'm going to find the spouse for the rest of my life, and I'm going to write down these qualities that I want in a person and stick to them. And when I mean qualities, I mean everything, whether you want a fat person, a thin person, a white person, a black person, a tall person, if you want a person to make a certain income, write it all down. If you want a person who's religious, non-religious, if you want someone who keeps kosher, non-kosher, if you want someone who's, whatever, want someone that goes to church, all these things, they add up. All these things are important. If they're important to you, then you should marry someone where it's important to them too. I think I told you I had a friend who was observant, and she was trying to make her boyfriend more observant. And he was like, yeah, sure, I'll go to shul. He'll keep kosher. So they went to Yom Kippur service, which is your Day of Atonement. And then the next day he would go out to dinner with her and have a bacon cheeseburger. And she's like, wait a minute, you just repented for your sins and you're committing the sin the next day? And he's like, well, I repented, I'm good. And she broke up with him. Thank God. She broke up with him because he didn't share her values, because he didn't care. He just went along to get along. He went to Yom Kippur service with her, I think just to, make her happy, but he really didn't care. Maybe he did to get into her pants, who knows? But for him to have the audacity to go eat a bacon cheeseburger the next day shows he had no respect for her whatsoever. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot marry people that don't respect you, and you cannot marry people that don't love you. And if your spouse doesn't tell you he or she loves you every day, that's a problem. If your spouse doesn't want to make love to you every day, that's a problem. The way that you meet someone at 20 should stay the same way when you're with them 20, 40, 30 years from now. I have a lot of friends whose sex life has improved over the years, and it's made their marriages last a lot longer than they expected. My parents have been married for almost 50 years because they have a phenomenal relationship and great chemistry. That never has died and never will. When they don't have the chemistry, it ruins their entire day. When you don't have sex with your spouse, it ruins your day, I'm telling you. It's not good to fight and argue with your spouse every day. It's not good to scream and curse at your spouse, because sometimes you can say things and you can say you're sorry, but sometimes it's so biting, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Your spouse is not your parent. You can yell and scream and curse at your parent, they'll forgive you no matter what. But if you yell and scream and curse at a spouse, sometimes they're not that forgiving. So be careful with that. If you feel like you're going to have an emotional breakdown, go to another room, go into your car, go into the bathroom, take a moment for yourself before you lash out. And listen. The best advice for a marriage is listening and communication. My parents are phenomenal communicators. That's why they've been married for so long, because they listen to each other. They support one another. They back each other. They don't demean or demoralize each other. They don't patronize one another. They don't have malicious intent towards each other. They make each other happy. They may have an argument here or there, but they get over it in 5 seconds and they move on. They have sex. They're good. That's what makes a marriage work, is communication. Communication is the key to a successful marriage. And I say this because I want all of my friends to get married. I have too many single friends. I'm tired of it. I have too many of them in their 30s and 40s, 50s, and some even in their 60s. It's time to get married, guys. It's time to hone in on what you want and stop BSing yourself. And stop thinking you have to be a millionaire or a multimillionaire to get married. That's BS too. If you have a good support system with you, you don't have to be a billionaire. Most girls aren't looking for billionaires. And if they are, they really don't want to get married, because a billionaire is very rare. There's not a lot of them out there, just a handful. There's not a lot of multimillionaires out there either. So if you're one of those men or women that's looking for that, you're stupid. And that means that you really don't want to get married. So you're just going to be single your whole life, and you're going to turn into the cat lady. You're going to turn into an old maid. So I really hope, guys, as we look into the future, that you'll change something about yourself. Yeah, you'll go look for the right person, because I know in your heart you know who the right person is. You get out of your house, you meet people, stop with the dating apps. I'm very against dating apps and speed dating. You don't have to pay hundreds and thousands of dollars to these stupid matchmakers. You can go to a Jewish matchmaker if you want, or a Christian matchmaker, but don't go to some agency, because they will charge you a fortune and you won't find anybody. But you need to get out of your house. You need to get out of your house to find love, and go to events that represent you. If you're political, to go to a political event. If you're an observant Jew, go to a Shabbat dinner. You will find someone there. Go to synagogue, go to church. You will find someone there. Mark my words, you will. It will happen for you. But if you don't go, you'll never know. So that's my advice to all of you guys. So before we get going, because I know I've run a little over tonight, don't forget my colleague, Tim Fazenmaker, running for Baltimore County Council, District 9. I know we talked a lot about him in segment 1, but he still needs money, and we're going to give it to him. So let's put up the QR code for Tim. There we go. Tim Fazenmaker, candidate for Baltimore County Council, District number 9, the new America First MAGA Hardcore Trump District. That is the QR code. Go to timfazenmaker.com. I can tell you, people are giving him money in the hundreds and thousands. They want him in. He's going to get in. It's his to win. And you want to give it to an America First guy. You do not have to live in his state, his district, his county to donate. I'm a Florida resident. I donate to Tim all the time, even before I work for him. I have relatives from Florida. They donate to him. I have people in California. He's got friends in Arizona that donate to him, Ohio that donate to him. You do not have to live in his state or county to donate to him. He will take any donation. So go to timfazenbaker.com. You'll be happy you did. And then, of course, we have my good friend Kim Stansberry. She's running for Baltimore County Executive. If elected, she will be the first woman elected Baltimore County Executive. She's the only Republican woman running. It is hers to win. She will win the primary. And she's running up against these ridiculous Democrats that want to push anti-ICE legislation and so forth and ruin the county. She's trying to save the county. She's very close to Tim. As I said, if it wasn't for Tim, I never would have met her. She's a wonderful woman. Her husband, her late husband, served our nation. He was in Vietnam. He died of Agent Orange, but he was a wonderful human being. I wish I would have known him longer. And she is a mother. She's a grandmother. We call her Mama Bear. She's so sweet. She's so wholesome. She's so clean, honest woman, knows the role like no other. She knows the legislation like no other. So please, guys, go to electkimstansberry.org. That's electkimstansberry.org and give this woman a donation today. And of course, we have our good friend Seth Eisenberg. Always looking for him on his GoFundMe. Yep. Help Jonah Eisenberg overcome health crisis. Jonah has been sick with the flu. He almost lost his foot. He's had staph infections in his foot for a year now. We've raised over $6,400 for him. The goal is $10K. The final goal is $100K, but we can't do it without you. So instead of giving millions of dollars to trans or lesbians who kill ICE or who try to kill ICE agents, instead of raising $1.5 million for Miss Good, who wasn't good at all, give money to Seth Eisenberg. Help him out. He's working 2 jobs. He's got a son to support who's a teenager. He's got other people in his household he has to support. We need to support him. We need to get back to our veterans. So go to Jonah/Eisenberg/overcome/health crisis, GoFundMe.com, and donate to him today. Average donation's been 100, 150, and so forth. Oh, my producer popped on. Hey, what's up? Just kidding. And then we have our last, I would say, campaign. This is something new. Tom Crosby. This was brought up to me by a friend, my friend Jack Donna, who was on my show. So this guy's fighting for, I guess you'd say fighting for his life, but fighting for his house, fighting for his reason to live. I mean, the legal defense team under Joe Biden came after him for, defending, for wanting honest elections. So this is a great campaign. Tom Crosby Legal Defense Fund. This money goes to paying for his legal team. He had to get legal team because if not, they would have put his butt in jail for many years. Again, this is a givesendgo.com/GBAEU. This goes directly to Tom Crosby's Legal Defense Fund so that he can get himself out of the hole. So please, guys, please donate to Tom Crosby. Again, these are great patriots. Everyone I've talked about donating, these are great patriots. These are people that love America. These are America First MAGA people. I mean, this is where it's at. This is where it's at. And this is where your money should go to. Directly to the people, not the RNC, not the committees. It's going straight to the person, which is how it should be. And guys, don't forget, we have tomorrow night, The Pulse, from 8 to 9 p.m. every Wednesday night live. Sometimes I'm hosting, sometimes you have Damon Galder, Seth Eisenberg, but we always have 2 surprise guests. You never know who we're going to have. So you never know how my hair is going to look tomorrow, what I'm going to wear, how my makeup's going to look. So if you want a little suspense, watch us tomorrow night from 8 to 9 p.m. on The Pulse every Wednesday night. Don't forget, my show is every Tuesday to Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. And then we have Damon Galder with the Jersey Shore every Monday and Friday night from 8 to 9 p.m. And of course, we have Popeye the Sailor Man, Seth Eisenberg, the Conservative Corner from 7 to 8:30 p.m. every Sunday night. That is our guy. We love him. He speaks his mind. And he is always available at a moment's notice. And he's very real. So please follow him at the Conservative Corner on Facebook and at the Conservative Seth on X. You can follow Damon Galdo on X at Damon Galdo. And Damon Galdo on Facebook. Damon Galdo is also running for Congress in District 1 in New Jersey. You can donate to him. You can look up Damon Galdo for Congress. You can donate to him. Of course, my network is also supporting and endorsing Justin Murphy for the United States Senate in 2026 in New Jersey. You can go to Justin Murphy for Senate. He's awesome. He's smart. He's brilliant. He's 60 years old, but he looks like he's 40. He looks great, and he's extremely knowledgeable. He's been in politics since 1988. He calls himself a Reagan Republican, but he is an America First guy. He likes Trump, supports Trump, And we need to get these type of people in office. So please, guys, don't forget, we have some great campaigns. This is the 2026 midterms. This is the moment where you guys decide, do we want to keep a Republican House of Representatives or do we want to flip it? What do we want to do? Do you want President Trump to keep winning? Do you want bills to get signed? Or do you want to flip it to Speaker Hakeem Jeffries where we get nothing? Absolutely nothing. You get 2 years of a waste. We do not want that. We do not want that at all. We want the Republicans to keep power and to expand their power. I'm very optimistic about this year. I'm very optimistic about our country, but it's up to you, the voter, to help out, to do your part. We Republicans cannot be complicit. We have to get out there and vote. And just because President's name is not on the ticket, his agenda is. So think about that when you go to the elections, to the primaries in the middle of the summer. And again, guys, don't forget to follow us at the America's Pulse Network. Again, we are live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Rumble, on Parler, on True Social, on TikTok, on Instagram. And of course, don't forget to follow me always, Alexandra Levine, on Facebook, at Alexandra Levi20 on X, A.R. Levine85 on Rumble, True Social, TikTok, Parler, Instagram. And I think that's about it. I'm very accessible. I'm everywhere. But this has been a great hour and a half, guys. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you again to my affiliate sponsors, as well as the people that have been commenting and watching my show nationwide and worldwide. Again, the reason you listen and the reason you watch is you are no idiot.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. The America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. APN's The Pulse, hosted by Alexandra, Damon, Elena, and Seth. So tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X/Twitter, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, and YouTube. Join the revolution. Because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Thank you for watching this episode of Alexandra Levine Live. So please click subscribe and then share on your favorite social medias. This way you will get notified of each upcoming episode. We look forward to hearing from you on upcoming episodes.